Okay, kids, it's time for another episode of the Fueled by Weird podcast, the only podcast that doesn't like to waste time shaving. I'm Chris Daly, and today I have the pleasure of chatting with someone I've wanted to talk to for a long time and creator of one of my favorite indie comics, Apex Cybernetic Samurai Owl, Mr. Kenny Aitken. Kenny, how's it going, man?
Good. How you doing?
Doing great. Very happy to have you here. It's glad that we could finally kind of meet face to face finally.
I know. Well, yeah, kind of face to face, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's been. I think it's been a long time coming. I think.
Yep, for sure. Most definitely. So very excited we could finally make it happen. All right. So since this is kind of the first time we're really meeting, other than just chatting back and forth, and usually I like to start things off with an icebreaker question. So what I'm going to ask today, if you were an athlete, what would you choose as your walkout song?
A walkout song. Yeah. That's a loaded question.
That's a tough
Uh,
one.
that is a
I I had a hard time picking one.
that is a hard one.
Yeah.
Oh man. If I was a professional athlete, so I guess yeah, it has to be something hard hitting, right?
It doesn't
Uh,
have to be.
let's go fight fire with fire by Metallica.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Let's do that
That's
one.
very respectable choice. I think for me, if I had to narrow it down, it would be a song by the fictional band Death Clock. And I would pick their song called Comet Song. It hits very super hard, and that definitely is one that when I'm feeling in a mood to get pumped up, that's a song that pumps me up. So you'll have to check that one out. It's so, so, so good.
I don't know if I've heard that. I've probably heard. Which album is that on?
The Death album too.
Okay, I just kind of discovered. Wait, which one of the albums I totally missed somehow. I
Hmm.
just realized I missed it because I see that there's Mermaider 3, and
Yeah, that's a new one.
I was like, wait a minute, Where was Mermaider 2? So I was like, okay, hold on a second. So I had to go back and I was like, oh wait, there was a Mermaider 2. So I
Yeah.
guess I must have missed an album somewhere in there. But
Mermaider 2 is on the same album as Comet Song.
okay, I'm gonna that's the album I missed then.
Yeah,
So
Mermaider 3 is brand new. It's an album that just barely came out, but all the albums are, I think it's Death Album 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, or and 4. 4
or
just came out
I'm waiting for my DVD to get here. I ordered the DVD for the new movie, so
for the new movie.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it's so good.
Waiting forever. I can't wait to see it. Yeah, I
It
mean, if you didn't know, I'm like kind of like a metalhead, so
Oh, dude. And for my birthday, early birthday present,
that's sick, dude.
the Death Clock gear.
I love it.
Yeah, man, it's awesome.
Love it.
But yeah, the movie, not to spoil anything, but the movie wraps up everything very nicely.
That's good
It's so good.
because it wasn't wrapped up. I was
It
like,
wasn't.
they canceled it, and it was like they were just getting like to the good part.
Yeah, they left Doomstar with a huge cliffhanger. So I'm like, what the hell?
Right? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
hilarious.
we actually talked to Brendan not too long ago, and yeah, he was pretty excited to finally get the story finished. He's like, I already know the ending of the story, so I'm good. But
Right?
glad I finally get to share it with you guys.
That's super cool. Yeah, I'm gonna see them next month at Aftershock, so it'll be pretty cool.
Oh, the Baby Clock tour?
Yeah, they're gonna be at Aftershock for in Sacramento, first weekend of October.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, and
That's
Baby Metal
awesome.
too. Yeah, Baby Metal's gonna be there. All kinds of bands: Megadeth, Avenged Sevenfold, Tool. I mean, just anybody who's anybody, I guess.
That's awesome. I know Tool's coming here pretty soon because we just recently got an event center that could host concerts like that. Usually you have to drive like 4 hours away, but we just got one here and we just recently had Falling in Reverse and Ice Nine Kills and a couple of other bands, Catch Your Breath and Our Last Night.
Yeah,
So good. It was a great show.
yeah. They actually came to the town here. I live outside of town, but they came to Iceland Kills and Falling in Reverse came to Reading, California.
The Popular Monster tour, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and like, it was pretty cool because we don't ever get anything like that here either.
Yeah.
So usually it's like a 4 hour drive to go see stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
kind of
So you feel my pain.
yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah.
Yeah, we got to go. I mean, if I want to go to concerts, conventions, I mean, you name it, I have to drive
Yeah.
forever.
There's
It's
actually there's
traveling
actually
stuff.
4 hours north or 4 hours, I think, southeast, I think. And so there's 4 hours either way you can go to big stuff. That's the closest for me, but they're starting to bring more stuff here, which is cool.
That's cool. Yeah, that's kind
That's
of where we're at too. Like 4 hours from anything big, and then we get the little stuff every once in a while, but which is
yeah,
cool. I mean, I'm okay with it. I think it's fine.
yeah. But it's always cool to have it, closer. That's not a bad
Yep.
thing.
Yep. Totally.
Cool. All right. Well, moving on. So with the concept of fueled by weird, basically it's all the things that you're into, your hobbies, your interests, the things that, make you who you are is what fuels your weird. So what are some of the things that fuel your weird, Mr. Aiken?
Oh man. Um, I like read comics. That's I wouldn't be much of a comic book creator if I didn't like reading comics, I guess.
True.
So I don't spend a whole lot of time reading comics so much these days, unless I'm like looking for some specific idea that I like latched onto, way back in the day that I, kind of want to, refresh my memory on or something like that. But
Yeah.
comics, anime, music's always been like a huge passion of mine, even though I'm not super proficient at music. I try. I have probably more guitars than somebody should own at my skill level. Uh, but yeah, music. What else? Anime's cool. I'm also a linguist. I speak a little bit of Japanese.
I know you've been kind of working on learning Japanese. That's cool.
Yeah, so I'm about I want to say probably there's like for a certain there's a certain test called the JLPT, and for that test there's 5 levels, 5 through 1.
Yeah.
I'm probably about a 4.5, maybe a 3. So
Oh,
I'm
nice.
halfway. Yeah,
That's
uh,
cool.
it's kind of tough here because there's nobody to talk to. So
Ah,
I'm
yeah.
constantly listening to like news programs and really dry, boring stuff to pick up kind of that natural speaking, I guess you would kind of say, because like
Yeah.
anime doesn't really do it. Anime is kind of a lot of slang, a lot of weird things that you wouldn't really hear in real life. So I try
Kind of
to,
like casual conversation, kind of.
yeah, maybe even taking that to another step past that, which kind
Yeah.
of I don't want to learn bad habits. So it's
Gotcha.
kind of that kind of thing. So
That
what
makes
else?
sense.
Weird things. I guess that's probably about it. I mean, grew up in the 80s, 90s, so I mean, it's kind of
Same.
right. So I mean, it's kind of. I mean, you ask anybody from that time period, the shit you used to get beat up for,
Yeah.
uh, liking cartoons, liking comics, liking heavy metal, shit like that, that you used to get beat up for. It's kind of cool now,
Yeah.
and yeah, that kind of stuff.
And the fun part is all the people that think it's cool are the people that made fun of you when you liked it originally.
There you go, right there.
I guess it's not really funny, but it is what it is.
It's irony.
Um, exactly. And I didn't really know you were into anime that much. I myself am just recently getting into anime, so we're gonna have to have a whole separate conversation about that because I need more people to talk anime with because
Right, right.
like I'm just barely getting into One Piece.
Nice, nice.
I've
I haven't
gotten
watched.
into I've gotten into a bunch of other ones, but One Piece is the new hotness for me right now. And I haven't watched the live action yet because I wanted to watch the anime first. And so I wanted to get through all of the anime that the season one of the live action covers, and I've got a little way. I think I'm only 25 episodes into the anime, but I've got a little ways to go. But I like it a lot so far.
Nice. Yeah, I've been. I think the last one I started and haven't gotten too far into was Naruto, and it's been a while since I started that. But I think I got like 65 episodes in. I'm like, this is a lot. There's a lot of shit going on. So
There's a
I
lot.
kind of got discouraged by that. Kind of backed out of that one for a bit. But yeah, I like a lot of the old stuff. I mean, obviously Akira. I don't know if you have ever seen that movie.
I've started. I haven't finished it yet.
It's a masterpiece. Bubblegum Crisis is huge. Some of these like kind of I don't want to call them underground because I think to me they're huge, right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
like 80s, like cyberpunk style, anime stuff that's just really cool. Gundam. What else? Robotech's cool. If you're into that kind of like romance drama kind of, it almost plays out like a soap opera kind of in a way.
Mm.
Macros. It's kind of crazy. It's cool though.
Right now with anime, I'm kind of open to kind of whatever, just because I don't really know. I think the oldest one I've seen, and I guess it's not really that old, but Cowboy Bebop is probably the oldest one I've seen. And
That
I
is
Love Cowboy Bebop.
So cool. I haven't finished. I actually that's one I haven't finished either. I think I got about halfway through it. I think, and it's kind of one of those things. Like I have this kind of tendency to like, if there's something I really, really, really super like, I like to savor it. And one example being is obviously Cowboy Bebop, but Earthbound, the video game. For years, I didn't beat the game because I didn't want it to want it to end, and I didn't want to finish it. So I kept getting to the same point over and over and over again, and stopping. And then finally, one time, I'm like, I really just need to beat this thing, so I can move on to the next game because obviously, Other Three is the next one in the series, and
Yeah.
I haven't really gotten too far into that one yet either. But it's kind of like the thing of Cowboy Bebop. I'm like, man, this is just really good. It's really really awesome.
And I really like the live action. I think it got unnecessary hate, honestly.
I haven't seen it, so I can't say. But I do know like it's kind of one of those things where like sometimes criticism's probably unfounded, but obviously you
Yeah.
can't make a carbon copy of the thing, otherwise it would just be the same
Right.
thing. But yeah, I don't know. I try not to listen to
Yeah.
anybody's opinions, really good or bad, because generally these days it seems like you have a group of people that's either super all about it and will destroy you if you like it, or destroy you
Yeah.
if you don't like it, and then you have the other group that absolutely hates it and will destroy you if you like it. So it's
Yeah.
just like, I'll just form my own opinions about things and like what I like, and you know,
It's kind of the old damned if you do and damned if you don't, right?
right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. I mean, obviously you can't translate everything from anime because they do some crazy stuff in anime,
Yeah,
but they do change a few of the things. They kind of speed up how some of the characters interact and meet with each other, and they change a little bit of it, but still for the most part makes sense, and it worked really well. And I thought the live action version of Ed was fantastic.
did they
Ed's
do it?
probably one of my favorite characters.
So did they do it in episode format? Is that what it was?
Yeah, and I think they kind of covered, kind of like with what I've heard they do with the One Piece live action, is they'll take one episode, but they'll take one episode of live action and cover several episodes of the anime.
Okay.
But
So
I
that's
don't think the Cowboy Bebop one was quite as strict to the original content as the One Piece one was. So
okay.
they weren't super, they didn't stick to the story as much. They did kind of improvise a lot of their own stuff, but it still kind of made sense. I mean, a lot of the main parts were still there, and a lot of the big characters were still there. They did change up how some of the stuff works, but I still think it ended up okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I think when you condense stuff like that too, when you condense the story, it could go sideways, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, I'll definitely have to check it out.
it's
I
it's worth a watch at least once.
I wouldn't want to be in a position where somebody said, "Hey, here's," I mean, I don't know. I guess I guess if it was your payday, I mean, I guess
Yeah,
if they offered me, "Hey, here's 100 grand. Go remake this into a new or remake this into a live action or whatever." I'd be like,
yeah,
"Okay, cool, let's go." But at the same time, I'd be a little nervous because
yeah, for sure.
it's a big there's a lot of people looking forward to that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
you know,
if you hear your favorite, whatever's being adapted to live action, whether it's whatever, it's real tough to, you have to be faithful to the source material, or else you're gonna get lambasted.
right, totally.
All right, so yeah, like I said, we could talk about anime all day, but we've got a whole nother show we could do anime talk on, and we definitely will now that I know you're into anime.
Oh
Um,
shit.
so, um, what I want to do now is kind of get into talking about, like I mentioned before, you draw one of my favorite comics, Apex Cybernetic Samurai Owl. Holy cow, I can't get that out today. Um, I want to talk to you about how you got into writing and how you got into art in the first place.
Okay. Where do we start here? There's so many origin stories because I guess it just kind of depends on where you start, right?
Okay, sure.
So I guess we'll just start around I guess
Well,
2000.
what came first, the art or the writing?
Obviously the art. I've always been
Okay.
artist first. I've always kind of had a kind of a creative thing. My first dip into like comics and like that kind of thing was X-Men, the cartoon back in the '90s, whatever.
Yep. Hmm.
My dad was huge into X-Men when he was a kid. When back when my grandmother would take his, X-Men #1 and rip it apart and clean windows with it, and
Oh,
you know,
oh man.
that's the reason why it's worth so much money now, right? Because there is
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
Because everybody's mom was, oh, this is junk. We just, we clean windows with that stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what you did. You took newsprint, stuff like that. You cleaned your windows with it with Windex and that kind of thing. So that's where all the X-Men are, in the garbage. So yeah, so I was into X-Men pretty big. The cartoon was huge. Obviously, then Batman the animated series came on after that.
Yeah.
We didn't have a lot of money when I was a kid, so comic books were kind of not really a thing that we bought because they were kind of expensive to buy. So when I first got a comic book, I think I was like 12 or something like that. And the first comic book I got was like this X-Men. It was the gatefold cover for X-Men 1, the Jim Lee one.
Oh yeah.
It came from some somebody got it from Toys R Us and had 3 books in it. It was like 1, 2, and 3, and they were like sealed in this hard plastic thing, like super hard to get into.
Yeah.
So that was my first comic books, and then I got my wisdom teeth pulled out when I was like 12 or something, like 12 or 13, and I got this Batman. Oh wait, that's not wisdom teeth. It's so hard. All these traumatic things happening all the time. No. I stabbed myself in the eye with a pencil by mistake in 6th
Oh
grade.
man.
So I was doing this thing with where your jeans rip and you get those like little strings in your pants or whatever. I started breaking my pencil, and I kept like putting more and more in there in class. I'm like trying to get more, see how many I can break in one pull with the pencil.
Yeah.
And actually it got so hard I pulled and boom, stabbed myself right in the eye with the pencil. And luckily I missed all the important stuff, so it wasn't a big deal. But afterwards, after my mom took me to the eye doctor to get the lead pulled out of the loose lead pulled out of my eye, she took me and bought me some Batman comics. That was the first time I ever read Batman. It was around the time when Bane was real big, kicking the shit out of Batman.
Like the Nightfall stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one cover where Batman's like drowning. He's just his head on the cover, and he's like going under the water. And
Yeah.
it's so cool. Like it was such a cool thing. I was like, Batman's like, because when I was a kid, I was like, Batman was always kind of like invincible to me, right?
Yeah.
Like we see in like the old school Batman cartoons and stuff, or not cartoons, but Batman the animated series, and then kind of the old 1960s Batman TV show.
Yeah.
He's kind of invincible, right? Even though he's not, and you just see him on the cover, he's like drowning. I'm like, wow, that's like that's pretty intense stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of really drew me in too. And then so I started drawing a lot, trying to draw comic books and creating my own characters and stuff like that when I was like, just young teenager. Before I started going out and doing regular teenager stuff like sports and chasing girls and stuff like that. But I kind of fell out of it after I was like 16, 17. I just went right into work after high school and just kind of forgot about it. And years went by. 2015, I just basically long story short, I broke my neck and my back, and I was just so I retired from my job. I was a truck driver at the time, and a delivery driver anyways. And
Gotcha.
I was like, I'm gonna get back into art and start doing that stuff. So I started oil painting or acrylic painting first, and then that progressed in oil painting. And I'm like, well, I want to make a comic book. So I'm like drawing, coming up with ideas. And eventually, Apex was created as kind of I was gonna do webtoons. Was my original thought was gonna do webtoons. I was like, I just don't want to get too big, right? Like make it too big of a project where I can't manage it. Obviously that didn't work out because here I am. So Garrett Gunn, as you know, Garrett Gunn is from where I am from.
Yeah.
And so he's a real good friend of mine. He's like, why don't you just make a comic book? The comic books are like way cooler. Like, and I'm watching him, and he's like, I'm looking up to him because he's doing all this shit too, right? But he's doing it like he's been doing it for a while. He's got his own comic books out, and like he's doing it and that stuff. I'm like, all right, fine, fuck it. So finally, I start doing it, and I start drawing it myself, and I'm like, I'm just so picky about everything. So I'm like, you know what? I just resisted Garrett for so long because it's just like, hey, just hire somebody to do the art, just do whatever else you want to do in there.
Yeah.
And finally, I was like, you know what? Fine, find me an artist, and I'll do it because I'm never gonna get this thing down. I think 9 months went by, and I had drawn more than like 10 pages, and I just kept throwing everything out. I'm like, I don't like this. I drew a page, throw it out. Draw a page, throw it out. And then finally, I hired Brian, and then Brian's just kind of kept me on track this entire time because he hands me pages, and then I color them, and then I send them off to Justin for letters, and it's just such a more streamlined process, you know. So
Yeah, Garrett's a good dude. We actually talked to him for the very first episode of this show, and he's amazing guy.
he's super cool. Yeah, I haven't seen him forever. He moved to Michigan. I think Michigan it was.
Yeah.
Uh, but like right around the time the pandemic happened, we were going to college together, and we were just screwing around in like ceramics class and like just doing all kinds of stupid shit. And once the pandemic happened, like I hadn't really seen him in a long time, and then it's so hard to keep in touch with people online. I'm just not really.
Yeah, for sure.
It's such a weird thing, you know.
Yeah.
Even when you're close to people and you like message them, and it's just like my best friend lives 2 blocks down the road, and I don't. Anytime I message them online, I'm like, this is just weird, you know.
Yeah, I yeah. I
I
get
think
what you're
it's
saying.
I think it's like I think it's probably more of a problem for people our age that are I don't know how old you are, but I'm 40, and
I'll be 39 the end of this month, actually.
you're about the same age as me. So
Yeah,
we're kind of like you knew what it was like communicating with people before the internet and before
yeah,
text messaging and before all that shit, and
yeah,
now you have that other way, and it's like the old way it just feels more natural, I guess.
yeah.
So get off my lawn and all that shit, right?
Yep. I mean, it feels dumb. Like you said, I used to be friends with someone who moved closer to me so we could hang out more often, even though he doesn't live that far from me in his old house. But then we quit being friends. But even when we were friends, we would still never go to each other's houses. We would just message all the time. Like,
Right.
this is so dumb. Like, why are we just messaging? But I mean, things are weird now, though. Like, back in my day, when you wanted to meet someone, you just walked up and like, hey, I'm so and so. How's it going? But now it's
Right.
like
Right.
you find someone on the internet, you click accept friend or send friend request, you just hope they'll be your friend. So it kind of works the same way. It's just weirder because you don't ever get to see the person.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of how we started being friends because I don't even remember who it was that showed me Apex for the first time. I said, holy shit, this is amazing. I need to be friends with this guy. And because during the pandemic, like you mentioned, I wanted to try to be more productive with, stuff that I'm working on.
Right. Right.
And my timeline and social media was just full of just negative shit all the time. And I was like, I need to start putting like stuff that people are doing because I'm thinking if I fill my timeline with stuff people are actually working on and doing stuff and not just filling the internet with, the world sucks and everyone knows the world sucks, but you don't have to talk about it in social media because people go to social media to get away from the sucky stuff.
Right. Right.
So, I wanted to fill it full of positives. And so I started reaching out to all these different creators I thought were awesome. And you were one of those. So I'm like, oh, please, I hope he be my friend. I hope he'll be my friend. And so it's weird how you make friends nowadays.
It is strange. Yeah. It is really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back to what I was saying about that though. Yeah. So he moved away. He's gone. I haven't seen him in forever. But I love him. If you ever watch this, Scared, I love him.
Yeah, he's awesome. And he's actually the one that got me into this hat brand because I have a huge head. It's Mammoth Headwear. And
Oh, so
he said,
you
I
finally
swear,
found something.
yeah, he said, I swear by these guys because they're perfect for big head dudes. And I've always had a problem with hats. I mean, I know you and I have talked that I want to get an Apex hat, but they don't ever make them big enough. And so I finally found this one that it's a snapback and it's on like 3 snaps and it fits perfectly. It's so great. Anyway, yes, Garrett, you're amazing. We love you. And I promise I'll quit interrupting you now.
Right. Oh, you're good. I think I was interrupting you. But so Garrett kind of pushed me into this. It's his fault. And then I mean, all this time later, I mean, I still do oil painting. I do these big, giant, huge alleyways. I've kind of like carved out my own little area of things I like to do. I used to do a lot of self portraits because it was kind of easy. People tend to be a little weird about that because they're like, oh, you're just painting yourself because you're like, uh, what do you call it, conceited or whatever, which could be farther from the truth. But
You just have that big, amazing beard that needs to be
well,
captured on canvas.
it's really easy to paint a beard. in comparison to the rest of the face. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of people don't realize that it was really just kind of my way of cheating, where I could just paint like half of a face, and then I just got this brown blob down here with a few little details in it. Um,
That's
and I mean
awesome.
that's really all it really was.
Yeah.
I've never painted myself without a beard, so I
Yeah.
mean that I painted a few people, done a few portraits of other people. Uh, that turned out pretty good, but I still think my best work is of my own face. That kind of I've done probably 20 times at least. So
Yeah.
and then yeah, so then I started. So when I started studying Japanese, I was doing painting classes at the local college too, just trying to learn color theory and that kind of thing, which is kind of where I'm at with comic books. That I'm just working as a colorist now, uh, because it's just natural for me to just color, I guess. So
Yeah.
so that and then yeah, I think that's kind of a rambling way to say
Oh, you're good.
all of the kind of the origin story of my art career, I guess.
So at one point did the writing come in?
So right came in. So I did the like created Apex. It was kind of born out of animosity.
Mm.
Uh, we had I guess we can tell the story of Apex. I was going to do a collab with a guy locally here, and it didn't really work out. He wanted to do his own thing. I was kind of more in a collaborative mindset where I kind of wanted to do something together. He kind of wanted to do his own thing, and that was fine. Uh, so that really didn't work out. So I was like, well, I'm going to make my own thing then, because I don't want to do his thing. And since we're not making something together, I'm going to make my own thing. And that's kind of how Apex was born. So I kind of was just doodling in my book, in my sketchbook, and I just drew this stupid owl that had actually I was using an iPad, I think. I just
Yeah.
drew this stupid owl that had a sword, and I was like, this owl's just going to kill everything. Like, and I just started writing a list of like, it was originally supposed to be kind of like tongue in cheek, like Looney Tunes ish kind of, where it's just stupid overpowered owl. It's kind of like I guess you would call him a like One Punch Man. Like it's just
Okay.
really overpowered.
Yeah.
Goes to Tokyo, and there's this dinosaur attacking Tokyo, like you've seen in the comic book, and
Yeah.
he just cuts him in half and one shots him, and that's it. That's the whole thing, right? And then I started this huge list of like all this shit that he could like cut in half, like that would be really funny. And this is where it was going to be a webtoon kind of thing, where it's once a week I just have him murder something else. Um, and it was so the next so I had this list, and I mean I had all kinds of dumb shit. Construction workers working on construction sites making noise, Republicans, liberals. I mean the United States government, everybody and everything. Right? There was nothing was like off limits. And then I was like, you know what? Or no. So then Garrett convinced me. He's like, just make it a whole like comic book, right? So I'm like, well, I don't think that concept really translates into a comic book, right? I mean, it's not really because it was kind of like a one-shot thing, right?
Yeah.
So I started writing a backstory for it. And I didn't really know what the fuck I was doing.
Right.
So I started looking up ideas, trying to figure out how you do it. And ultimately, I landed on like screenwriting techniques and stuff like that. I'm just trying to look at scripts for movies. For some reason, I don't know why I gravitated towards that. I guess I could have looked at comic book scripts and read through those, but
Yeah.
so I ended up looking at movie scripts. I'm like, well, this is how I'm going to do it. So I just pretty much just copied everything they were doing. I'm just like, hey, this scene is what this is going to be here, and we're gonna have an establishing shot, and then we're just going to do panel, and just write the story for that, and then yeah, sort of a whole backstory about how he's cybernetic owl created in the lab, which that was kind of like kind of the beginning premise. Like he was created in lab. He's like a Ronin, right? He's like a samurai with no master, and he learned the ways of a samurai after escaping from the thing. That part was always there, but it was never so fleshed out where it's like, oh, they're trying to get him. Like, oh, there's like all these other characters now, and like it just kind of took on a life of its own. Yeah, so I have it written all the way to issue 9 where I just kill everybody and then end it. It's just gonna be the last book. It's just gonna be a bunch of black pages.
So when you're coming up with these ideas, like where do you draw them from? I know you had kind of mentioned, it's very Looney Tune-ish, very One Punch Man. Um, when you're coming up with stuff like this, like where do you get the story ideas from? How do you come up with all of this stuff?
Oh
What's
man.
your process?
Um, Usually it starts with a doodle. I usually have something nearby me to draw on. I usually have like these I get these little books. I have like these little this is actually my food plan, but I'll just have like little doodles in there. Stick this anything in this one here. I'll see if I can find this is a new one, so there's anything in here. But I just have like a little book here. I'll usually draw on. I'll take sticky notes. I'll write ideas down there. Yeah, so in the middle of the night, I'll be laying there in bed, and I'll think, oh man, pirate mermaids. And I think that's like the first one in the thread. I've been doing
Nice.
this for like 3 or 4 years now, and I just
Yeah.
throw it in there. And if I'm flipping through there and I see it, and I'm feeling kind of creative that day, I might just pull that idea up and just play around with it and see if something happens with it. And if something happens with it, then I'm like, okay, that's cool. And if nothing does, it's just like, okay, it's just kind of an exercise in brainstorming and kind of that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So
Right.
yeah, pretty much that's about it, I think.
That's awesome. That's a good idea, text messaging yourself. I used to keep a notebook and a pen next to the bed and I'd write something down. And like you, I'd wake up like, what the hell was I thinking about the night before? But now I have it just like a note app on my phone that if I come up with an idea, I'll just hurry and type it in. I still do the what the hell the next day, but at least it's there for, whatever
Right.
weird brain worm that comes out.
Really weird ones are the ones where you've been up all night drinking, and then I'm like, what the fuck was that? I mean, that's what this X
Yeah.
thing is probably about right here. I just wrote something about the X-Files, and it's like really sloppily written. So I'm like, yeah, I probably wrote that after I had about 8 beers or something like that. Um,
Some of the best ideas come that way. You never know.
right?
All right. So we've been talking a lot about Apex. It's time to talk more about Apex. For those who don't know, I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit already, but for those who don't know, who are unfamiliar with Apex, why don't we tell a little bit about, who Apex is?
Let me get my notes out because I always fuck this up. All right, let's see.
Okay.
Where is it at? I'm super bad at talking about this. I know like by now I've been working on this since around 2017-ish. You think I'd be pretty good at it by now? I do okay at conventions. I have like a little line. I talk about how he fights T-Rex, splits, lightsabers, ninjas, that kind of thing, just to kind of get the ideas in people's heads. But let me pull up my notes here. I know it sounds silly, but
No, you're good.
I'm gonna talk over my words here if I don't.
You're good.
So
I mean, exactly. I mean, to show secrets, if I didn't have an outline of stuff I was going to talk to you about, I would step all over myself too. So I have notes myself, so no big deal.
yeah, usually I don't usually prepare for anytime I do an interview, I usually don't like prepare for it, and I always feel like kind of nervous. But then I'm like, I think it'll be fine. But this time I'm gonna read a little bit. So basically, it's set in the future of Japan. This kind of came on before I got into the learning Japanese stuff. So it's set in the future of Japan. He's a cybernetic samurai owl. He's not a samurai yet. So he's a cybernetic owl, and he was created in a lab as a weapon, and he's like the ultimate weapon. So basically, he's like Mega Man, where he can absorb the power of other things. So in kind of that way, Mega Man's like my most favorite video game ever. So it's kind of like I kind of like that idea, right, where he kind of absorbs the powers and stuff like that. So he kind of has a thing going on there with that, and that's what makes him so powerful, and that's why. And he's one of a kind. He's a one of a kind weapon. So he turns on them, blows up the lab, and gets away, and then crash lands in the mountains, and this old man finds him. And this old man just happens to be like this samurai master that's been like in charge of formerly in charge of protecting the emperor and all this stuff for this organization that's been around for 1,000 years or whatever. And basically he teaches Apex to be a samurai and to be his like what do you call it, his heir, I guess, to the thing.
Yeah.
And he gets a little bit more backstory later. And I can't remember which book it is now, but I think that one's out. I think I'll have to look through. It's kind of hard because I'm working on multiple things at the time, so I kind of forget. Like, okay, well, did I release that part of the story yet or not? I'm not sure. Or am I still coloring that one, or whatever, or is it still on the script? I don't, it's
Yeah.
hard to keep track sometimes. But basically, there's a little bit of backstory on him too, his family, and his ties to the whole his Apex inspiration and all that. But so basically, these guys that created him, I call it Project Doombird. It was just it was kind of the silly thing that was in the webtoon kind of thing, and it's still called that, but I don't really mention it in the books. It's kind of like a silly thing that I kind of kept in the script and stuff like that. It just sounds like diabolical, right? Like
Yeah. Totally.
Because they make more than birds. I mean, they make dinosaurs and other like bird creatures. There's the squirrels. The squirrels that have like the EMPs attached to them. What else was there? Cybernetic raptors, more dinosaurs, I guess. That kind of thing. So basically, these guys are after him. Obviously, they want to get their weapon back so they can take over the world. And Apex isn't about that. So they keep sending these these monsters into Tokyo and all over the place, to lure him out. And, he's got to fight them, and then, obviously defeats the bad guys. And it's kind of a simple concept.
It's very awesome. And you have had this going for a little while. Your current Kickstarter right now is for the first 3 issues, I think is what it was.
Yeah, so it's volume 1 is issues 1 through 3. It's how I originally wrote it. I originally wrote it as one gigantic book. I just didn't know when to stop. So obviously I was, brand new to writing at the time. And I'm like, I don't know when to stop this. So I just kept going. And then eventually I had like a 96 something page script. I mean, that's a pretty good sized book for your first book. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I started having Brian do the pages, and I'm like, there's no way this is ever coming out in any kind of a timely manner. So then I decided, well, we're going to split it in three books. So a little bit of tweaking to the script, and ended up 3 books. And now finally, after so many odd years, I guess it's been 6 years now, I'm releasing the first volume of Apex Cybernetic Samurai Owl. So, and it's kind of intended form, which is kind of exciting to me because I actually haven't seen it in that form. I just ordered a proof from the printer because I am super excited to see it. Because it was kind of like my original vision was like just have this big old huge fat book. So I think it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited for it. It's on Kickstarter right now, and it's actually doing really well. So
3 hours you funded?
Yeah, it's 3 hours. So I've been experimenting with Kickstarter because I'm not really sure. I haven't had a campaign fail yet.
Yeah.
But every time I do a Kickstarter, I try to make it a learning experience. So this time I set the goal really low because I kind of wanted to see how that affects the algorithm, how it affects backer counts and stuff like that. So far, it's going pretty good. I think it's about the same as it's been every single time. So it's kind of hard to see if there's any differences yet or not. I won't know until the end, but every time I try to do something a little different, just see what happens. So we started at a $500 goal this time just to see what could happen. Next time I'm gonna do like a 2-week campaign and see what happens with that. Every time I've done 3-week campaigns. So my next campaign will be for something else. It'll be for Blue Heart Emoji. I don't know if you've seen my stuff for that, but
I have. I was gonna ask you about that here coming up in a little bit.
Maybe I'll give you some spoilers. So for that, I'm gonna do an ash can for that. I got a lot of stuff coming in for that right now. Brian's helping me with layouts for the pages, just to keep me in line. I just don't have the focus to like draw, do all the stuff. I just got a book from my friend Kenneth Rockford. He does a book called Broken, and he does everything from start to finish, the whole entire thing. And I'm just like, I don't have the focus for that. But what was I saying about Apex? Oh, the campaign. So next time I'm going to try to run a 2-week campaign for Blue Heart Emojis Ash Can and see how it goes. Because right now I'm kind of in that slump area in the Kickstarter, and it's just kind of a weird place where I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm yelling into the void. People come look at my stuff, and it's like nobody's coming to look at my stuff because it's not like brand new like it was last week, So it's kind of a weird place to be. But then next week it'll be like back to like the first week where it's like all of a sudden everybody's like, hey, I gotta get that before it ends, So I'm kind of thinking maybe if I go 2 weeks, maybe that middle week will just be like a smaller period of time.
Maybe.
I don't know. I have no idea. So
That's hard to say.
experimenting a lot with that kind of stuff and seeing. So this is my sixth Kickstarter and it's going well. So I don't see any reason why not to just keep experimenting and just see, what makes these things go,
And have you had any? I mean, I know a lot of creators they run into issues depending on what time of year they launch. Have you had any kind of issue with that? Because I know you don't because I'm pretty sure I've been a backer on all of your campaigns. Um, and you don't really seem to have a certain time of year. You usually kind of come out whenever. Have you noticed any kind of an issue with time of year?
I don't think so. I think pretty much for the most part I've had a pretty large amount of success whenever I launch them.
Yeah.
I think this time of year is my typical time. It's kind of in this ballpark area. I was going to launch one in November this year, and I had like 5 other creators just like in my inbox, like, "Don't do it, man! It's a trap. It's not good." And I'm like, "Is it?" And as the consensus was, from so many people individually coming at me at the same time, I'm like, "Okay, maybe that's a bad idea." So I'll probably take that advice, especially when it's not just one person, it's like 5 different people that aren't even affiliated with each other, just like saying,
Yeah.
"Don't do it." So November, I guess, is a bad time to run a Kickstarter campaign, I guess.
Yeah, I've heard that usually between like mid-October and November, just because people are trying to get ready for the holidays. That's just
Yeah.
what I've heard. I don't have any experience myself. That's just stuff I've heard from other people.
I mean, I would guess that's probably the case. Football season, you got the playoffs starting. People are traveling for the holidays, buying their kids Christmas presents, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, why not buy comic books for Christmas?
Right?
I mean, it's
I
right there.
mean, you usually have lots of fun stuff with your campaigns. And I was just telling Jackie about it here a little bit ago. Um, what do you have? I know usually, like I said, you usually have something specific to each campaign. Do you have anything special for this current campaign?
So for this one, I pulled out. So I had So you're familiar with the coins. I did actually have
I am.
right here. So these coins here, let's see here. Which ones do I have? I have the 3 and then I have the purple one. Where's my camera? Kind of hard to see there, but these coins here, they're just collector's coins that I've done with every campaign I've done a set of coins. And I've given them away for various little perks. For the first campaign, it was like a timed thing. Just to try to get people in, that first day. I think I might have did that for the second one. I think the second and third one I did, it was the first 75 backers, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's when you came on, right? You were in the first. Did you have the first coin, right?
I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure I have all of them.
Okay, do you have, let's see, do you have this one? Do you have that one right there?
I'll have to double check. I don't remember.
Well,
I'll have to look.
so anyway, so I have 3. 3 for this set for the first thing. So far there's 5. I don't know where my 5th one is. I have 4 of them here. But so far there's 5 coins. Each book has a coin, and I'm gonna continue to do that throughout the series because I started doing it. Now I gotta follow through, right? So I have every time I order, I have to order a minimum amount. So I always have a little bit of extra. And I didn't want to like sell them at a convention, be like, hey, I got these Kickstarter coins, like you want to buy one? Like I kind of felt like I'd be shorting the Kickstarter people that were like, hey, these were exclusive to Kickstarter. What the hell are you doing selling them at a con? That's bullshit. So I've been trying to think of a way to get them to people because I know there's people that have messaged me saying I missed the coins, that sucks. And I'm like, well, I'm not selling them outside of the Kickstarter campaign because that wouldn't be fair to people who bought them during the Kickstarter campaign. So as soon as I have an idea for what I'm going to do with them, I'll let you know. And this is what I did. So when I came out with the volume 1, I was like, well, I don't want to create a new coin for the thing. Let's see how many sets of these I have. So I had like 20 sets left over. I sent some to Brian and Justin, the artists, and the letterer for the book. So they'd have some, and then I have 5 left over, or about 20 sets left over. And I'm like, well, I don't need to keep any for myself. Like people want these things, they can have them. So I just put them up as an add-on for the thing. I kept this campaign really simple. I just wanted it to be about the books. And then since I have the coins, I was like, well, we can put them as an add-on. People want them, they can buy them. If they don't want them, they don't have to. They don't got to get them. There's no tier with the coins. It's just an add-on afterwards.
Yeah.
And then I just kept this campaign about the book. I got a hardcover and softcover edition, and I didn't do any like weird like stuff where you like get prints for stretch goals, stickers, pins, buttons, mini action figures, nothing like that. For two reasons. One, it makes my life a little bit easier because I don't have all this stuff coming in at me from every direction,
Yeah.
to keep tabs on. Because I mean, sometimes it gets a little overwhelming when you have, well, where's that print at? Why is that not here? Where are the pins at? Why are the pins, have shipped or whatever, so it gets a little tedious sometimes with that. And so that saves me a little bit of a headache, but also it just, I back a lot of Kickstarters. I think I'm almost up to 200 now. And I have a whole stack of books over here. And then on my shelf over here, I have a whole stack of prints, buttons, just stuff that I don't really have a place for.
Yeah.
And I just, it's cool that I have that stuff, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like, what am I supposed to do with all this stuff? As it accumulates, it's getting to the point where it's like I'm just getting all this extra stuff all the time, and I don't know what to do with it. So I was kind of thinking maybe other people are feeling the same way. So I was like, let's make it about the books. We'll do all the stretch goals. You're just going to improve the book. Because that's why you're here, right? You're here to get the book, right? So
Right.
if the stretch goal is about making the book better, then everybody wins, right? So we get a better product. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. So.
Yeah, that's cool. I was telling Jackie that, the coins are really awesome. And I think for most of the campaigns you did just do, if you're in this, like within the first so many backers, you'll get a coin. And I have to double check now because I thought I had all of them, but maybe I don't. I do have quite a few of them. And I told him about the action figures the one time he did them. I ended up getting one of the action figures. It's not a painted one, but I got one of them. And I was going to mention that you had statues the one time, so I could imagine that having all the extra stuff is probably just crazy. Yeah.
So this is a little clear one right here. Yeah, these were pretty cool. These were the guy who designed this for me, I reached out to him after the campaign. He did an excellent job making those. But I had him make them based off of the stats, like the cover art for book 3.
Yeah.
If you remember, he's just kind of standing there on that pile of rock, and just like looking off into the distance. And this design is, as I almost break it, prove my point here. It's really brittle on the points here, where they like connect to the base. And I had such a pain in the ass shipping these things. I had people stuff show up broken. I didn't really know how to pack them. It was kind of like I wrapped them in bubble wrap, and then I put them in a box, and then I wrapped the box in bubble wrap, and some of them still got their broken. So eventually anybody whose stuff got broken, I had to hand carve styrofoam with a razor blade.
Holy cow.
And hand package these things so that they wouldn't show up broken. And it was so tough. It kind of killed me for a minute there. I was kind of like, man, this is a lot. But I mean, people pay for something, they expect to get it a certain way. So if that's the way it's going to go, then I'm going to, make sure that they get it that way. That's the way I'm going to be about it. But it was a tough time shipping though. It was kind of crazy. So I have a redesign for that. That's going to be way cooler. That I haven't done anything with yet. I actually started printing it in my garage, and never finished printing the model. But it's way cooler. It's way more sturdy, secure, and we'll see how that one goes. So.
Nice. I missed out on that last one, and it sounds like it's okay that I missed because it sounds like it was a headache. So I'll definitely be watching out for the next one. Definitely. That's cool. So after this current Kickstarter is over, what's next on the docket? You kind of had mentioned Blue Heart Emoji a little bit. Are we going to get more Apex down the line too? I would assume we probably are.
So Apex is I plan Apex out completely from start to finish for the whole series. So that one's going to end at issue 9. So I'm doing three separate arcs that are 3 issues apiece. Currently, right now, I'm coloring issue 6, so Lunar Eclipse 3, which is the last part of the second arc.
Yeah.
And then the next arc will be starting next year. So right now, I think roughly, I think Brian's got about half the pages in for issue 6. I'm working on the colors for those, and then I'll send them off to Justin, obviously, when I'm done with those, and then he'll get those. So I think early next year, we're going to see a Kickstarter release for issue 6. And then Blue Heart Emoji, I was just kind of trying to figure out, this year just kind of got away from me. It's already September. It's kind of weird.
Right.
It's super crazy. Like, I'm like, I've been thinking like all year to like do all the stuff, and I'm like, yeah, it's already September. Like, what the hell happened to the year?
Yeah, like the whole summer just blew by.
I know we got 3 months left, and that's it, right? October.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Pretty much.
So 2023 is gone. So Blue Heart Emoji, I'm working on that. Brian's been doing layouts and page layouts for me. So I've been illustrating that one myself with his help, doing layouts, and that's going okay. It's going pretty good. I find myself sometimes doing what I used to do, which is, do a drawing and then hate it, get rid of it. Try not to do that so much, kind of have a little more confidence in my ability to actually draw. So it's going okay. I'm hoping to have an ash can ready by the end of the year, and then we'll see what I'm trying to fit that a Kickstarter release in for that sometime between the next books, Apex books.
Yeah.
Because Apex 6 is going to come out at the early next year, and then I'll probably do Blue Heart Emoji right after that, and then go right back into Apex and hopefully finish that sooner rather than later. It's my very first project, and it's massive. I don't know. I don't know how it got so big.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I can't believe you only have 9 issues. That seems like it, as a very avid reader of the story, it doesn't feel like it's already, it doesn't feel like we're already 5 in. It feels like it's way more than that.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's how I feel too. And I'm just, because I'm constantly back and forth between, I'm working on, I'm writing the script for 7, 8, 9 right now. And then I'm also coloring 6. But then I'm currently like on my desk right here, I'm looking at the 5th one, it's kind of hard to keep the continuity in my head. So I'm constantly having to go back and like make sure I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
With it, it's kind of weird. I never thought that would be like an issue until now. I'm like 5 issues in, and I'm like, whoa, wait, did that just happen in this book? Did that happen in that one? I can't remember now.
Yeah. And when I say it feels like way more books, that's definitely a good thing, because it's hard to believe it's only going to be 9 books, because you really could take that so many different ways.
There's always a possibility I might do like a one shot, like a couple one shots, like origin stories for like side characters, something like that really didn't get fleshed out in the main story. I've always kind of thought that might be kind of a cool thing. Like the old man, he doesn't get a lot of screen time, I guess, throughout the first thing before he meets unfortunate happenings. But I didn't actually think, in my head he was there for a lot longer than he was.
Right.
I look at the book and I'm like, he wasn't really there for that long. He's kind of disappeared.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm saying was, it feels like there's so many more books, like you said, because it feels like he was there for a long time, but he really wasn't.
Right. Yeah. So there's that. And then with Blue Heart Emoji, it's just I kind of wanted to take a different approach, like, because I want to illustrate comic books.
Yeah.
But I'm just not. I'm a better painter than an illustrator at this point. So I'm trying to get myself to just do it, right? We're all gonna die someday. Just do the thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I'm just like, I'm just gonna do this damn thing. Like, I'm just gonna make this book. And I just wanted to. I was just doodling this frog guy one day. I'm like, this frog guy would look super cool with a beard. And then I was like, oh, he's gonna be a Scottish frog with a beard. And I was just drawing, and I was like, I think a beard looks kind of weird on a frog. So that's where the big, huge hood, like the fur hood, came from.
Okay, that makes sense.
Massive fur hood, because it makes, I don't know, to me, in my brain, it makes more sense that, like, you wouldn't have a frog with a beard. But then again, you wouldn't have a frog wearing a leather jacket that has this big fur hood and a kilt, right?
True, yeah.
That's what it ended up being. So I thought the frog looked weird with the beard. I think maybe not so much the beard. Like, the beard looks fine. But, like, we start putting a mustache on a character that has, like, a long, like, mouth. It starts looking strange to me, so...
That's fair.
So I was like, I'm gonna just give him this big fur hood. It's gonna look cool. And I've always been in love with that silhouette too.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Afro Samurai. I don't know if you've ever seen Afro Samurai.
Yeah.
It's got that really big afro and it just kind of goes everywhere when he's like doing things and stuff. And Chamber from Generation X, the comic book, he's got that flaming thing coming out of his chest and then it wraps around his head and it's fire going everywhere and shit.
Yeah.
What other characters? The old man from Apex issues 1 and 2. He's got the same thing going with the big hair and
Yeah.
place. I really like that. I don't know why, but it's like probably my most favorite thing ever. I don't know why, but it's just it just gives a really cool like look. So that's where he kind of got his design cues from. And yeah, I just wanted to write a fantasy story, something set in like it's kind of set in the real world, but it's kind of not really alluded to the real. So like the Highlands, it's called the Highlands, even though it's Scotland, right? And it's kind of a play on words. The Highlands is kind of a place in Scotland, but it's not called Scotland, right?
Right.
And it's this floating island up in the sky. I know it's really annoying to me because if you're familiar with the new Zelda game, came out and there's like all these floating islands. I'm like, no, I didn't come out with my thing before they came out with their thing. And I didn't know that was happening. And now this is happening. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going with it anyway. So
That's fair.
Basically, he's just a hero. He's on a mission. There's there's an ancient evil that awakened in their city and in their kingdom, and his father sends him to go. His father, the king, sends him to go get this weapon that they use to defeat the evil. So it kind of follows that same trope as other fantasy stories like Zelda and those kinds of things. Final Fantasy and that stuff. And but the difference with this one is that he actually fails. So he comes back and accidentally is the reason why the evil actually gets unleashed. So so now he's got to go save the world. And there's obviously other characters in there that have significance to the story too. But that's kind of thing that's kind of based. Everything happens because he failed. So it's kind of an interesting story. It goes a little deeper into how he feels about that and how the other characters feel about it and that kind of thing. So I think it's a little more of a deeper writing experience, at least for me, where I'm kind of building characters more than just like writing action scenes, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of a step in a different direction for me as a writer.
I mean, really, you're still kind of doing world building. You're just doing it in a different way than you do with Apex, which is perfectly fine because not every story is going to call for the same recipe. I mean, one story will work better doing it, kind of fly by the seat of your pants. You create the character and then you kind of just branch everything off after you get the character. But, it seems like with Blue Heart Emoji, it seems like you're really taking the time to build the world, which is cool because every little bit more that you share of it, it makes me more excited to read it. Every time I see you post it on social media, I'm like, oh man, I'm so stoked for this book just because it looks so incredible. So it just makes it even that much better. I'm very excited.
I'm really excited for it. Yeah, let me see if I can find. Brian sends me these layouts, and it's always just so cool. One of these things I want to put in the Apex volume 1 is I had when I originally started drawing pages for Apex, I thumbnailed the entire first section of the book. And when I hired Brian, obviously those ideas got scrapped because he was going to be drawing the book. I drew all these thumbnails out, and when he started handing me pages, I'm like, these are like almost like exactly what I was, envisioning when I wrote this out. Right. And turned in some pretty amazing stuff. So that's going to be in the Apex book. But he sends me these awesome things. I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can figure out a way to share this. Can I share my screen on here? I guess I can show you something here. Let me pull up Photoshop here. Open. My computer was doing some weird stuff earlier today, so I kind of lost my recent stuff. So you've seen. Let me go share screen. Oh, I can't share screen on here. Well, I can't share it with you. I'll show you later on when we're off camera.
Okay.
But yeah, he just sends me these amazing like layouts, and I'm like, man, this is just so cool. I can't wait to just get in there and just start drawing these things. So I've been bouncing around from page to page. I'll do a panel on page 1 and then go back to page 10 and do a panel there, and just kind of bouncing around, because sometimes it's like drawing ahead 7 times kind of gets kind of old. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll draw
Yeah.
here, and then I'll go over here and draw this like thing, we're just cutting this thing in half or whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of what or not Apex, but that's kind of what Blue Heart Emoji is about. It's kind of a love story too. I mean, it's kind of there's a little bit of that kind of thing in there. There's as much of a love story as I can write. I mean, I don't know, it's kind of weird, but there's a little bit of a love story element to it. And the hero, the real hero of the story isn't really who you would think it's going to be. And it's gonna be a little smaller in scope than Apex, because Apex has kind of gotten so big to me. I've already been working on it for 6 years,
Yeah.
and as much as I love it, I'm ready to do other stuff too, and just kind of branch out and do other things as well.
That's fair.
'Cause I have so many ideas, and
Yeah.
if Apex is going to take me 10 years to finish, then I better hurry up and get going on some other stuff too.
Yeah, for sure.
And then yeah, what else? Yeah, I don't know.
That's perfect. So what we can do is we'll wrap things up and we'll say for final thoughts, what's a bit of advice you'd give to up and coming creatives?
There is no one way to do things. I think that early when I started, I think it was kind of one of my biggest hangups and one of my biggest roadblocks, I guess I would say, is I was just really looking for some way to like roadmap on like how to do stuff. And there is no way. I mean, there's no roadmap for any of this stuff. I mean, everybody who's doing it is doing it their own way, and they're just grabbing bits and pieces of stuff from everybody else and making their own way. So for me, my way is I really enjoy concept art. I don't know if you noticed with my character sheets, like I'm super into like doing the turnarounds, doing the sword design, doing the character design, really drawing out every little detail about the character, and then putting it together in a presentable way where you can look at it and go, oh, this is fucking cool, right?
Yeah.
And then going from there, so I have something to look at when I'm drawing or whatever, or writing or something like that. And yeah, and then writing scripts. I mean, like I said earlier, I went to screenwriting stuff before I even thought about going to comic book scripts. And I mean, still, I don't think I've seen very many comic book scripts other than my own, and maybe a few sample scripts from a couple other people that sent me stuff for freelance work.
Yeah.
And then just practice, I guess, too. I mean, practice is the key. I don't spend nearly enough time practicing as I should. Sometimes I feel like I'm just skating by, just like, oh yeah, I'll just I'm just doing this today and I'll just practice tomorrow. But like the other day, I drew 500 heads in this sketchbook, and all I did was draw the skeleton, like the head, like not like the skull, but like the skeleton head, because I was having a hard time drawing the other day, and I couldn't seem to get the head right on this drawing I was doing. So like I'm just gonna go back to basic fundamentals and just start drawing heads, like the base of the head, and that's it. Just practice. I mean, nobody's immune to needing to practice, So.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so where can we find you on social media? Where can we find the Kickstarter? Let's give you a chance now to plug whatever you want to plug.
Kickstarter is well, I guess we can just put the link with the article, but it's Kenny Aitken art on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, I guess X now. Where else am I? I'm getting a web store finally. I'm still building it. My label is going to be Moonfire Lab. I don't know if you've seen my stuff, but
that's awesome.
Lab is my label. All my comic book stuff from here on out is going to be branded with that. That's going to be under my store, so moonfirelab.com. The domain's there. There's just nothing there yet. And that's where all my comic book stuff's going to be. And maybe some of my oil originals too will be on there. I don't know.
Oh, that'd be cool.
we'll see about that. But so moonfirelab.com is gonna be my website.
And merch too?
Merch and everything, yeah. So
That's a sweet t-shirt.
Yeah, this shirt came out pretty good. So this is kind of a test shirt. And I got hats too. So I got the Moonfire Lab thing on there. So
that's sick, dude.
Yeah. It took me a long time to come up with that because I was really indecisive about what I wanted my company to be called. So I'm like, I don't know. So.
Nice. That's awesome. All right. So I'll go ahead and we'll hurry and wrap up just in case your internet decides to hate you again.
Yeah.
You're good. So you can find this interview when it's ready. All other sorts of geeky nerd goodness on our website at geek-network.com, Geeks AZ on Twitter and Instagram, Geek Network on Facebook. I am CD is weird on Instagram. The music for the show is by Polygon Horizon. My friend Chris is in that band. It's a great band. Go check them out on Bandcamp. The logos for the show are by my friends Chris Chandler and Mike Belcher. Chris is a great comic book writer. Mike is a great writer / artist. Go to check them out on Instagram and Twitter. And if you like the show, please leave a review and tell your friends because word of mouth is our friend. And remember, kids, to embrace the things that feel you're weird and always geek responsibly. Kenny, thanks so much for spending some time with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime.